Hey everybody, welcome to the TikahMinds show. Welcome to another exciting week. So over the weekend, I had received an interesting comment that let's see if I can articulate it. The comment was basically that you like war, and that's why you're doing this comic book about war. Ha ha. Oh so little. Do we know? So here's the deal. Over this past, golly, 2000, I look back and I was just before the show, I was looking back at kind of my life and where things have been politically and all those types of things, and in particular in the subject of war. And I look back over it, and it's just like, there were very few pockets of where we're not either occupying some sort of the country or certainly since 9/11. Like, it's just been nonstop. My goodness, bad, horrible. So here's the deal with the last colony, and kind of the views behind it and what went into that. I hope I want to make it extremely, I don't think I could say it enough. It's worth reiterating many times over. It's worth mentioning this. And we're certainly doing the show a little bit earlier today. I have a bunch of errands to do and those types of things. And so it just seemed like, well, anyway, I need to do this first. So I want to have this time with you guys and share some of these thoughts. And I want to make it evidently clear. Violence is not a good option. It is a horrible option. It's not. It's bad. It's not good. However, slight little caveat, I do think that there are, in the defense of life, in the defense of those around you, I think that there's room to be able to defend yourself. It's always sort of the argument. I always kind of think it's kind of weird, where it's not weird. It's just political goofballness, where, like, they can take away others their rights to defend themselves, but yet the politicians, all the people that say we need to get rid of guns, the famous people, they all have dudes that are carrying some amazing weaponry. So just the irony of it. I am not, again, I see very much that I know there's just like, how is this remotely political? But it's whatever. It's a tool. Like anything in life, it's a tool. And you go back through guns and swords and just the parallels in terms of the meanings behind that. And certainly the sword has more of that romantic feel behind it. But in any case, it's just sort of a thing that I am not a fan of war. I don't think it's a good option at all. I think as we look back at 9/11, I think there has been a lot of just flat out dishonesty in terms of why we are in Afghanistan, why we went to Iraq. And I appreciate every one of our armed forces in the sense of what they've done, but it's just in the sense of doing the job they've been called to do. But at the same time, my God, horrible, absolutely horrible. So I want to first and foremost with the last colony, I'm not a fan. And I actually, if you read the description, these individuals, they want no part in it. The individuals in the story that I'm trying to tell, they want no part in it. They won't. Now, there are characters that do, and there are involved, and they have their different motives and reasons and those types of things, but it's not out of my love for war. I certainly grew up with the curiosity where I've read a considerable amount. I would consider myself more of a hobbyist than an expert or a historian of some sort. But going to the Civil War sites and going to those and reading about the diaries and the after battle reports and different things in around the Civil War. I a huge amount of curiosity about that, reading about Pickett's charge and going to Little Round Top and seeing Big Round Top and going to Antietam and how Lincoln ultimately used that. Really was a military disaster from the federal point of view. Absolute military disaster, and Lincoln turned it into something else entirely because he needed a win, in particular the emancipation. And so, which was kind of and there's was certainly a blurry line and those types of things in terms of like, was it legal, was it not? But anyway, and it's just, which later on, of course, produced the 13th Amendment, and which was absolutely awesome thing. However, here we are sitting, we sit in this time where it's just like the trafficking going on, the human trafficking going on. It's just, we're in wild weasel land, the world we live in right now. However, again, back to the last colony, it's just, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of war. I don't think it's a good option, but I do think that you have the right and the ability to defend your life and those around you. You have the right to defend life. It's not about instigating violence. Horrible. But there are tyrants there are tyrants everywhere. Life is full of them. Life is full of one form or another of some sort of tyrant out there that is seeking to take. And tyrants can come in the form of just some immature little moron of a kid that is jealous of some other kid. That's tyranny at its most basic form, and marginalizing another because of what they have or don't have or those types of things. And so I just want to make it absolutely clear. I am not a fan of violence. I don't, it's not a good option. It's a horrible option. And let's say, for example, you're in a situation where you end up defending your life and you defend the life of someone else or whatever it might be. It's still a bad decision. It's horrible. It's a disaster. Absolute disaster. What led that other person to instigate that violence? And then led it to the situation where someone has to stand up and defend life. It's terrible. It's not, it's bad. Absolutely horrible. But that's what the story. And I look at these different things, or you go through these different historical accounts, and I've read all these sort of, accounts from, like, you have your Battle of the Bulge, or you have D-Day, or you have different events. I've read those things, and I certainly enjoy those accounts of those movies. And I guess, you have like your Saving Private Ryan, which was a huge influence in terms of modern day film of military film. The Lone Survivor. What are the good? Gettysburg. Gods and Generals. And I think one of the things that back to, well, as we've been talking about over the past couple of weeks, like with Tolkien, I like Tolkien was he. It was interesting. Well, when you read The Hobbit, spoiler alert, sorry, but as you should read The Hobbit, Bilbo is knocked out, and you really don't get an account of that, the five armies battle sort of a thing. And the movies or the cartoon kind of pick up a little bit of that. And certainly in the movie elaborated, holy moly, entire movie dedicated to it. But it was sort of came from it that Tolkien didn't want to, these are my words, glamorize war. It was not something, because it was children's books. Or you look at C.S. Lewis, it was similar sort of a thing. There's never this glamorization of war, but there was there are times you have to stand up to tyrants in one form or another. And in my perspective, you always choose it's like violence is the worst, and when you're down to no other, you're stuck in a corner sort of a thing, concept. And in the defense of life. That's my take on it. And I do, and that's where, again, Last Colony, where these individuals, they want no part in it. They're trying to get out of it, but they are equipped and knowledgeable with the abilities to be able to defend themselves without because, for example, there's always the saying when I don't know if you've gone to the range or that sort of thing and shot some rifles or guns or that sort of thing, there's a lawyer behind every round. Like every round that goes through that gun, there's a lawyer behind it. So you have to, there's just this mentality that you have to be deliberate with the choices that you make. And I think that gets to the core of really what I'm interested in, and really what I think is exciting about the Last Colony. And it is an adventure. It's an adventure that it doesn't per se go into the details in terms of what politically is happening or what politically led to it or what catastrophic natural events took place to get us to these points. But it's about the distances that we will, I've said it again, the distances that we will go for our loved ones. That's what it's about. It's pretty simple. And that adventure to go on that is really what excites me, because without the violence, these are the things that we grapple with on a day-to-day basis with our loved ones, and being near our loved ones and encouraging our loved ones. That's what the TikahMinds is about. To encourage one another so that we are ultimately lifting each other up. And will sacrifices have to be made? Yes, obviously. That's on a day-to-day basis on any given different level that we might experience. So hopefully that articulates a little bit better of war's not an option, but you know what? If it comes to you, then you bring it, and you defend life to the nth degree, and you take every mode to lifting each other up. And that's what it's all about, guys. So I hope you guys have an excellent rest of your day. You guys are awesome, and we will see you later.